Welcome to Aurora Connects, Season 4. This is episode 10 for Friday, May 20th, 2022. Meet Francesca Gabourel, Aurora's new managing director. I'm Monique Williams, and as always, I'm joined by artistic director Josh Costello. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Dawn, I just want to take a second to say congratulations to you on our recent run of The Incrementalist by Cleavon Smith, which you directed so wonderfully. It was a beautiful production. It had so much to say. It was really powerful. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. In just 10 days or so, we start rehearsal for our next production, Wives by Jacqueline Bacchus, directed by Lavina Jadwani. And folks can still get tickets. You want to tell them how they can do that?
You can always get tickets at auroratheater.org. And that is also where you can get subscriptions for our 2022-2023 season, our 31st season, which we've recently announced. We have some great shows coming up. There's Colonialism is Terrible, but Pho is Delicious by Dustin Chin, a world premiere. Paradise Blue by Dominique Morisseau, which Dawn is returning to direct once again. And my own adaptation of Cyrano, and then we close it out with Hurricane Diane by Madeline George. So 4 really great plays coming up in our 22-23 season. And we still have 2 more in this season. We have Wives, as Dawn mentioned, and also a world premiere from Jonathan Spector, the author of Eureka Day. This one is called This Much September.
And we are already in the planning stages of season 5 of Aurora Connects, if you can believe it. And each one of those shows, as part of our season next year, will have an episode connected to it. But there's also plenty of blank spots on our calendar. So we'd love to hear from you. If you have guests you want to see, topics you'd like for us to cover, we are going to continue the sort of monthly format of Aurora Connects. So you can email us at connects@auroratheater.org. That's connects@auroratheater.org.
And if you are moved to support Aurora Theater and all of the work that we do, we encourage you again to visit that website, auroratheater.org, and click the donate button at the top right. Thank you so much. We really appreciate and depend on our supporters. Thank you.
Today's episode is super special. It's sort of the long awaited reveal of our new managing director, who actually has been with us almost 3 months now, but we wanted to give her a little time to get settled in. But we're thrilled to have her join the staff. And I'm especially excited to give her a chance to introduce herself to you all. So let's welcome our guest, Francesca Gabourel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's great to be a guest on Connects today and to be joining the Aurora family. I'm really feel very fortunate to be here.
Great. Right away, just going to do a rapid fire getting to know you. Put you on the hot spot with just some rapid fire icebreaker questions, odd as they may be. So, Francesca, what is your favorite color?
Ooh, my favorite color is purple. Always has been.
Royal.
Yes.
And what's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yes. And my local movie theater just last Monday had a showing of that movie, and I was able to go because I am a member. And I felt very indulgent to go see my favorite movie on the big screen when I never saw it on the big screen before. So it was really great.
That's exciting. What's your favorite book?
Oh, that one's a hard one. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. A couple that I really enjoy are The Night Circus. And another one I really like is called What Alice Forgot. Yes, and it's about a woman who had amnesia and how she rediscovered her life after like I think it was like 10 years she forgot. Yeah.
Francesca, what is your favorite song?
My favorite song, oh, these ones are hard. My favorite song, I think for a long time has been I Know by Fiona Apple. That's my go-to. But
Fiona.
my
Oh,
music tastes are changing. I just don't know exactly where they're standing at the moment.
what's your favorite smell?
My favorite smell is uh the smell of the ground right before it rains.
Uh-huh.
Mm,
Mm,
you're from Vermont.
I am. I'm from the country,
Mhm.
so it's that earthy smell when the ground is anticipating rainfall. I love that.
Yeah. What is your favorite meal?
We have a family rice dish that I love. It's called jag or jagasita. It's a Portuguese rice dish, and it's basically rice and beans and onions with a lot of salt and pepper. And my mom makes it fabulously. And if it was my whole favorite meal, it's jag and ham and my mom's corn pudding. That's always what I request for holidays. I'm like, we're making this meal, right?
and what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, I'm very boring. It's vanilla, or if I have to get crazy, chocolate chip cookie dough.
Francesca, do you have any siblings? And if so, which one is your favorite?
I I only have one sibling, so that makes it easy. And she's besides being my sibling, she's one of my best friends, and I love her so much. Her name is Lydia, and she is 6 years younger than me. But we, especially growing up, we've become great friends, and I feel very fortunate to say that.
And Francesca, do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. Well, one of the things that I do is I am a fused glass artist. So I work with uh kiln forming glass. So I make some glass pieces in a little kiln that I have. I want to start my own business around that eventually coming up, but you know, time is is a premium. And so that's one of my hidden talents. Another hidden talent I have is that I can say the alphabet backwards very fast.
Oh, wow.
And I learned that actually from theater. It was one of our tongue twisters in community theater, and I, if you put anything to a song, I will memorize it. So I can say the whole alphabet backwards.
So that's a great segue, actually, because you that was the last of our lightning round. But you mentioned community theater, and I know your family was very involved in theater in Vermont when you were growing up. Can you tell us a little bit about your dad and about how you got, your experiences with theater during your childhood?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am originally from the East Coast. I grew up on the border of Vermont and New Hampshire, right in the middle in what's called the Upper Connecticut River Valley, or we call it the Upper Valley locally. And so we have. I grew up in a theater community that was really uh, community theater based. So one of the local community theaters was North Country Community Theater that I grew up uh, around my whole life. My father is an actor, singer, dancer, classic triple threat, and he had been doing shows in the area since he was a teenager. And so when I came along, my dad was in a play. He was in Chorus Line as Richie, and opening night was my due date. Um, so and as a good thespian, I waited until after the performance was all done, and then I came. And yeah, so I have just always grown up in the theater. The green room has always been a home away from home for me. although I was pretty shy as a kid, so auditioning and getting on stage, although I did it a couple of times in smaller arenas, I never wanted to get on the big stage. I was telling Josh the other day when my sister came around, my dad was the King and the King and I, and he was like, "Do you want to be one of the kids? You can come out and be one of my many children on stage." And I was too shy to do that. But then when it got into high school, I went to, that was the first time I started going to public school and was able to get some art education in a kind of more meaningful way, and started doing theater in high school, and loved it. Just caught the bug. Met so many of my friends that way, and doing community theater, especially in high school, was really great because I had friends in all of the local high schools. North Country Community Theater, NCCT is what we called it, does a youth show every year, and usually our February spring break vacation is spent in the Lebanon Opera House, doing putting on a show, having Hell Week, and just being there, blocking it out. And then the following week we put on a show, and it was some of the best experiences of my young life. So I and ever since then, I keep returning to theater. No matter what, it's just like it keeps bringing me back, keeps bringing me back. So being at Aurora definitely feels like coming home a little bit.
Um, I also played Richie in a chorus line, so your
Awesome.
dad and I have that in common. Um, I have to say one of the things that's so hard about coming back to live theater in this new like COVID protocols world is that the green room is no longer a place where the kids can be doing the homework while parents are doing their thing. I hope that we get to a place where we can get back to that because
Yeah.
I certainly, my daughter also grew up, spending many a days in the green
In the
room.
theater, in the
Yeah.
green
Yeah.
room, hanging out in the chairs, watching the play be put
Yeah.
together, and I loved it. Just always loved it.
Yeah. My daughter's 20 years old and just last week she said, "Can I come to rehearsal with you?" And I said, "No, because guests are no longer allowed in rehearsal. So I'm gonna have to like hire her as like my permanent assistant so that she can be part of the like
Yeah.
team and just do the testing protocol so she can follow
Yeah.
me around. Um, I wonder if you could speak to like an especially memorable theater experience you had as a patron or from the green room. If there's anything that comes to mind as something formative.
Sure. Well, I guess I have 2 stories to share. I'll keep the first one short. It was sort of um that first play that I did with NCCT, I think, was a really memorable moment. I was not looking forward to spending February vacation at the Opera House. I was like, this is gonna be hard and long, and I had all these nerves around it. And one of my friends, at the time, went to school with me, and she's like, "Are you excited to go and like for Hell Week and be at the theater?" I was like, "No, I'm not excited at all." But once we got in there, it was insane. That first show that I did was called Starmites, and I think and every kid that auditioned got a part. So that was one of the largest casts I've ever seen. I think it was like 90 high school kids. And you could just like see hormones bouncing off the walls. It was it was crazy, but it was so much fun. And yeah, I got really addicted to, and I was like, if this is the world of theater, sign me up. So that was, I think, one of the the main experiences that kept me hooked. But another really powerful moment for me in the world of theater was I was working at the Hopkins Center for the Arts, which is a performing arts center at Dartmouth College, which is local to my area. And I I worked there as an event manager for the center, and we were doing some table readings uh, as part of a program they have in the summer. And there was one reading that was about the Armenian Genocide. And it was really profound and powerful. It was a subject that I didn't know much about, and it followed sort of a family's tumultuous journey at that time. And there was a moment, a monologue this actress gave at the very end, and it was so loaded with emotion and passion. And she let out this wail at the end of it that sort of just like lives in my butt, like I can hear it today. And it was one of the most powerful plays I've ever seen, but it was just for people sitting in chairs, holding a script, reading out loud. And it really reminded me that the power of storytelling, the power of words, and talented people to bring that to life is what theater is all about. And you don't need all the pomp and circumstance. Sometimes it's just uh, talented people reading wonderful words, and that can be a profound experience. So yeah, so that has always stuck with me and reminds me that, as wonderful as uh a Broadway set and performance and all these things can be, sometimes just being in a small room with a group of people can bring as powerful of a moment.
I love that so much. I was muted. I was wrapped. You mentioned in that last one that you were working in a more administrative capacity when that happened,
Yeah.
and that's another good segue to talk about your path towards becoming a managing director and the different places you've worked, KQED, ODC, Yerba Buena, and how. So, what was that path like for you to become uh, somebody in the field of arts management and ultimately executive leadership?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it was an interesting journey for me. I have always been somebody that wants to work in art and cultural organizations. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I need to be in a creative environment to stay engaged. It's just something I know about myself. But it took me a while to really I think own that. I growing up I grew up in New England and was definitely told through society and the things that we all absorb um, that pursuing the arts wasn't necessarily a worthwhile goal. That it it was sort of like you had to be a prodigy in order to really pursue art. Like you had to come out of the wound holding some paintbrushes for you to for you to like be an artist and for that to be a worthy thing for you to pursue. So it took me a while to sort of get to a place where I'm like, no, I am an artist, and that is something that I am going to own and going to go forth and do. And so in college, I went to Simmons University in Boston, and it's an all female college there. And one of the reasons I chose that institution was because they had one of the only undergrad degrees in arts administration, and I knew that that was something I wanted to do, but I was still too afraid to go to an actual art school because everybody said that that wouldn't be the thing to do. um, and and I graduated with a degree in art history. Um, I It was the first time that history really made sense to me. I was like, oh, history through images and paintings, and that makes sense. I much more than wars and dates and names reflect what the people are doing. And I and then I started just working for organizations that I thought was interesting. So when I was in Boston, one of the first theaters I started working for was actually the Blue Man Group. They have a resident theater company in Boston. And so I just started ushering there, became a house manager, just sort of got into that daily routine of professional Broadway theater, and I also started working at other local theater companies in Boston as well, for limited money, for more just experience and being there, on top of my schoolwork and full-time work, eventually. And then I just sort of moved into really staying within art or culture organizations that really had a strong community focus. I'm somebody who's passionate about arts education because it took me so long to realize that arts education was valuable, that most artists get full education, and that is how they pursue their careers. And so once I learned that, I wanted to make sure it was possible for other youth in particular to know that this is a path for them. So, being when I moved to California, I moved here to have more opportunities in the arts and some better weather. Gotta, a little bit better than New England weather, gonna say. But I started working at places like the Crucible in West Oakland, which is an art education center for industrial arts, so blacksmithing, welding, glasswork, all that kind of stuff. Really loved it there. Got a lot of glass skills there myself. And I also, worked for the Yerba Buena Center for the Arts, which is, definitely a more civic institution that holds up, that has a gallery of theater. They have a film movie theater, and they program their own work and also invite others to use their space, which is really great. And then I also started working at ODC. ODC is a dance center in the Mission. They're also a unique organization because they have their own dance company that tours around nationally and internationally occasionally. They have their own school, a dance school that offers about 200 classes a week. And they have their own theater, which they present artists as well as rent out to other local artists, usually in a fledgling or mid-sized company, which gave me a lot of opportunity to work with newer dance companies and help them along and find their footing, and what does the box office mean, how do you put all this stuff together. And that was a really great opportunity for me. I started working in their theater and then moved into their marketing department. And most recently, I was working at KQED, which is the Bay Area member station for NPR and PBS, and they do a lot of their own content. And I was helping them to establish their new events program at their renovated headquarters in the Mission District of San Francisco. And that was great to, try to put together something that had never existed before and put in some of those processes, procedures, the structure. One of the things I was in charge of was audience engagement, so front of house marketing, making sure that we let people know what was happening at KQED, and letting them know there's things beyond, radio and television, but you can come see us in person and come and be part of the conversation. So that was really great. And from there, I've ended up here with you all, which has been a wonderful journey in and of itself. And I'm really excited to see what comes next here at Aurora.
Francesca, in the last few years, the theater field sort of nationwide has finally seen a little bit of an uptick in women and especially people of color stepping into leadership roles. Um, for me, I have been very vocal that it is not a pipeline issue. It has never been a pipeline issue. It's been an access issue. And I just wonder if there's been any mentors or role models for you um, that have sort of helped you along the way, or just specific tools, programs you've relied on as a Black woman to help you feel affirmed in achieving this sort of executive leadership.
Yeah, I gotta say that I don't know that I really have had a traditional mentorship or something of that nature. I've always sort of been a very driven individual, a very ambitious and individual within in myself, and haven't necessarily uh, always reached out as much as I probably should, for mentorship and guidance. I've always just had a large personal drive, which I actually attribute a lot to my parents, who have always just been really supportive. We have a really close relationship. I talk to them almost every week, um, even across the country, and they have sort of given me confidence, as well as sort of the wings to go off and do my own thing while also feeling very secure and stable and having an anchor, which I think has always been a massive benefit to my life in general. And so I've never really felt that I couldn't do things or couldn't achieve certain accolades or experiences. I think that also speaks to growing up in New England and growing up in a very actually white society who didn't have enough time to carve out a special message just for me, to let me know that I'm a Black girl and there are limitations in your life. I sort of got taught the same thing everybody else did, which is like if you work hard, if you you know put your mind to it, if you take the proper steps, you can achieve anything. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Um, so that sort of has always informed my thinking. I've never really felt um, a lot. I've never really felt a lot of barrier. I've always just walked in and assumed I could be here. So I think that has a lot of benefit in this role, in ways that I'm starting to realize more and more, that I've grown up in an environment that allows me to walk into spaces that somebody that looks like me may feel less comfortable doing. Um, is That's just something I've always sort of been, the only Black girl in class, the only Black girl in my friend group, the only one. So I never that's never an obstacle for me because it's sort of my baseline normal. Even yesterday, I was on a Zoom meeting with other managing directors, and once again, I'm the only person of color in the room, and definitely the youngest. So it's something that has always been true, I think, of me, and my ambition. So yeah, I sort of just take it in stride, and I'm I feel very fortunate for the opportunities that I've had and for the the ability to go after it and achieve it. And I feel that way with Aurora too. This was I sort of felt like this job was kind of a long shot. I was like, I'll throw my hat in the ring and see what they say. And through conversations with the staff and the board, it really felt like, oh, this is a great place that I could feel at home. And I feel very fortunate that you all brought me on board.
Can you tell us a little bit about your what you do? What is the role of a managing director at Aurora and at a theater company like this, and sort of how you see Aurora growing and where you see Aurora going from the point of view of the managing director over the next few years?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a managing director, I sit at the head of the organization with Josh, and I oversee the finances and fundraising, the marketing, the box office operations, and sort of help to steer the organization in the direction that it should go sort of organizationally, while Josh steers it artistically. And yeah, I'm really excited for the future of Aurora. I think we have really talented people that work here. I have loved getting to know every staff member. They're really great individuals that are very talented and dedicated, and are really wanting this organization to succeed. Even though like the last couple of years have been rough for the industry as a whole, and for Aurora in particular, I've just been impressed by how folks have soldiered through and made things work and been flexible. So now coming out of the pandemic, I hope that I'm like crossing your fingers. I hope that we continue to start moving that way. And what I would love to do is position Aurora to be a space that as soon as folks feel more more able to come out and engage with each other again and find opportunities for that community connection. I want Aurora to be there for that. I want to make sure that we're a place where folks know that cool things are happening over at Aurora. Let's go check it out. Let's check on the website. Let's check their social media. What's going on there? So I would love to embrace our community uh, partners more, now that we can do more things together and with more people going forward. So I would love for us to be more embedded into the community, to find opportunities to, invite other storytellers in to and share that with our audience and bring in new audiences. I definitely want to make Aurora feel like a place where you can, go find your tribe and your peeps and the folks that love the same things that you do, the same ideas, uh the same type of stories, the same type of, just interesting uh interesting performances, interesting ideas, interesting um relevant, um to talk about that, to really engage in that kind of dialogue, whether it's on the stage, um, having conversations around performances, bringing in folks that have their own perspectives or ideas and voices. Those are all things that I would love to see us continue to pursue and make available to the community. And yeah, I really want Aurora to be a great community space, where folks feel welcome and feel engaged, and feel seen.
Thank you, Francesca. You started just in time for the 22-23 season announcement.
Yes.
That Josh programs the season, but he invites a lot of conversation from the staff. I wonder what about next season excites you most. Is there a particular play that you're really looking forward to?
Oh man, I can't wait to see them all. When Josh first told me about this lineup, I was like, this is gonna be a great year. I was so excited. Um, gosh, I it's hard to pick one. I really can't. I'm really interested to see colonial colonialism is terrible, but pho is delicious. I just find that title itself to be provocative. I'm like, please tell me more, because it's like, yes, that is a true statement. So I'm really excited to see that. I haven't been, sort of in the building when Josh is the director. So I can't wait to see how Cyrano comes along and how Josh handles all of that. And the artwork for Hurricane Diane is so beautiful, which just really kind of entices me a little bit into seeing what that will be and how that will uh unfold. I'm the topic of Dionysus coming back and engaging with housewives. I'm just like, I'm all for that. I love that. And I also am really excited for Paradise Blue as well, and that story and how that will be brought to life. And now, having seen Don direct a play, I'm really interested to see how that is orchestrated, because I do think, Don, you have a really wonderful way of bringing out some of the lyricism in the playwright's words and getting the cast to really engage with that. So with this play in particular being so musical, or having such a musical focus or element to it, I'm really interested to see that as well. So yeah, all of the shows really excite me. I really feel very fortunate to be a part of Aurora right now and seeing what's unfolding. And I encourage everybody to buy a subscription or definitely come out for these shows. It's gonna be great. So yeah, see you there. See you at the theater. Come on down.
That was a great managing director answer to that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. But I really am. I can't, there's not one play next season that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be hard to market or hard to talk about. I'm just like, no, this is gonna be fun. Come and hang out. And so one of my things is trying to make sure that we get the word out there and to make sure that we can find really great audiences to be a part of these experience, because I think it's gonna be really rewarding.
Francesca, since you took the managing director way out on on that one, and I understand completely. What if we fast forwarded to 23, 24, where there's nothing set besides whatever machinations are happening in Josh's brain? What is something like, what is a type of play or a playwright, or what type of thing would you love to see programmed,
Hmm.
um, since you'll be here for that round of programming?
Yeah, I don't know. I love some good comedy. I love and I love comedy within language. I love shows that are really clever and almost Shakespearean, where it's just like you could read it and not find it funny, and then you put it on stage and you block it out, you do the whole thing, and it's like that was hilarious. So that is always something that I really love to go to the theater and laugh. Big old belly laughs are always a great thing. So I would love to see um, some good comedies, with some really uh, I don't know, some really energetic casting and things like that, especially in our space, because you're so close to the action and you can see other people's reactions as well, which is not something you always get in a theater experience. So those kind of shows I think would be amazing to see at Aurora itself, just because it really feels like we're all in this together, and we're all having a really funny and unique and special moment. And I know that coming out of the pandemic as well, I want to hang out with my friends and see something cool and all have a really boisterous, fun time. So that is something I would love to see if possible.
See what I can do.
Excellent.
Don't get on that. Let's find us a comedy.
Yeah, something fun.
Well, Francesca, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with us. I've got to say, I am so pleased uh, with the decision to hire you, and with the work that we've been able to do together so far, and with the working relationship that we built so far. I think you're an awesome person, and it's been so much fun getting to know you and starting to work with you. And I think this is a really great partnership, and I so appreciate all the thought that you put into the work that you do, and the skill that you bring to it. I really been so impressed with you, and the way you handle all sorts of different situations with such an even keel and such a down-to-earth, practical approach. It just really fits with Aurora's, long-standing, the importance that Aurora has always placed on treating people right, treating people fairly, like being an organization where people feel taken care of, and I feel like you're just such a perfect addition to this company right now, and so grateful to get to work with you.
Oh, thank you that was so sweet. Thank you so much, Josh. And I hope that I am, bringing, what this organization needs, and that I can be a really positive presence here. That is my goal. So I really have been enjoying my time and really hope to continue to be a great partner and a great leader for this organization. That's my guiding light. So I will endeavor to do my best going forward.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you. Josh, let's bring it home.
Yeah, well, let's see. I would like to remind you once again that all these wonderful plays that Francesca just spoke about are the part of our 2022-2023 season, and subscriptions for that season are on sale now. Please visit our website, auroratheater.org, for more information. And you can also find information there about our next production, Wives by Jacqueline Backus, which is coming up very, very soon. And that is speaking of comedies and fun on stage, Francesca, you're going to love Wives, and I think our audience will as well. It's very smart, very clever, and very irreverent, and very funny. And I cannot wait. The design team has been doing a great job getting us all ready for that. We've got a great cast, and it's going to be a really, really fun show. So please again check out auroratheater.org, and while you're there, this has been a rough couple of years for us financially. The pandemic obviously is really tough. We've had to dip into our reserves. We've had to spend all of our relief funding, and we could certainly use more support. So if you are so moved, please, when you're on our website at auroratheater.org, you can click that little donate button at the top right and help us keep doing what we do. Thank you so much for that.
And again, we love hearing from you. Next month, we will have a special episode featuring some behind the scenes stuff of Wives, the interview with the director of Wives. And we'll also be amplifying some local Juneteenth and Pride events that you can check out in the month of June. But we love to know what you want to see, what you want to talk about. So please reach out, connects@auroratheater.org, connects@auroratheater.org. Or leave us comments in the chat section of whichever platform you're watching this on. We do read those are monitored. Um, doing this show brings me great joy, and so I'm glad that you all watch. So thanks again to our guest, Francesca, and thank you all for staying connected.